Today's Comic Lab is brought to you by the good folks over at Huion, who are super excited to announce the Canvas 22 third generation, which both Brad and I have, use, and love, and which you can get for 5% off over at comiclabshop.com.
Absolutely. We're going to be telling you even more about that in the middle of the show. But for now, we just wanted to thank them so much for being a sponsor of the show and for offering our listeners an extra 5% off of that amazing Canvas 22.
So, Brad, you're a man of the world. You're a
yes.
worldly man. You know what it is to travel and have these kind of status levels, like, Delta Airlines is now proud to welcome our triple diamond platinum, world travelers on board, all that sort of nonsense. Well, somehow through my credit card, I got this thing where I could get Hilton point status, right?
Yes.
And I'm going up to Alaska for Alaska Comics Camp.
Yeah.
And I'm staying at a Best Western because the Best Western is the only game in town in Juneau, Alaska. Now, for those outside of the United States, a Best Western is kind of the gas station hot dog of hotels, right? It's not great. It's not the worst, but it's not great. But it is what it is, right?
It's the only thing they can say for themselves is they're a step above a Night's Inn.
Yeah, it's kind of like this. The ad campaign for most Best Westerns is, hey, do you want to sleep in a tent? Of course you don't, so come to Best Western. That kind of thing. So anyway, I'm able to use, I guess there's this thing called status matching, which this is a new concept to me. I'm not familiar with this.
Oh,
Why
God.
are you laughing at me?
I hate it already. Status matching. It sounds to me like it's going to be one of those, what do they call that when they change the price when they see you walking in the door? They're going to start doing that.
Like algorithmic pricing or whatever. Or
like status matching, it's like they take one look at you walking in the door and they're like, okay, we'll put them in the camper out back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but anyway, I use my Hilton Gold status, which is the equivalent of who gives a shit in the Hilton system. They don't care. And I then say to Best Western, hey, what status can I get for Hilton Gold? Like, what level will you give me? And they say, oh, you get the highest level at Best Western, Brad. You get Diamond Select.
Diamond Select.
This is your opportunity to ooh and ah if you'd like, Brad, because I just got Diamond Select from Best Western. So I immediately text Dave Malky of Wondermark, our pal Dave Malky, who I'm splitting a room with in Juneau, and go, oh boy, pal, guess what? You've hitched your wagon to a star.
That's
because
right.
I am Diamond Select with Best Western. Oh boy,
I hate to brag, but you're going to be living it up in style tonight.
I basically am texting Dave Malky and being like, listen, just like Daddy Warbucks changed the world for Annie, you're about to enter a new world of wealth and luxury because your friend is Diamond Select. So for days I'm texting him like, well, don't forget, we're going to get that big room upgrade because I'm Diamond Select. I get to Juneau.
Nice pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. I get to Juneau and I walk up to the front desk of the Best Western and I'm like checking in, Callet, two adults, yep, 2 adults, 2 beds, and then I slide across my app with the thing open and I'm like, you may notice that I'm Diamond Select. When I say to you that this woman could not have given less a shit about my Diamond Select status. And I'm like, wait, so does nothing come with this? Like, I'm like, do I not even get like a free water bottle or anything? She's like, yeah, you don't get anything. So I have been texting Dave Malky for days like, well, I hope you like 2 king-size beds right next to each other and 4 TVs because you're traveling with a Best Western Diamond Select member. And I don't get jack shit, Brad.
I love you sliding your card across saying, of course I am a Hilton Gold. Almost like you were sliding. She probably had a look on her face like you slid across a piece of pre-chewed gum.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, I've pre-chewed this gum for you,
It's like I slid across the front desk, and you'll notice that I picked up this dog turd outside, Like
the last time I tried to reserve a hotel room with a Discover card.
So I just want to say to all of our frequent travelers out there who, much like Brad and I, are people of the world
Yes.
and of distinguished status, that Best Western Diamond Select is the equivalent of rolling into town in a 40-year-old RV that's missing one tire, and be like, hey, what's happening here? I'm by the Best Western Diamond Select, Brad.
John Candy and Steve Martin were the only people who had a slightly worse experience at a hotel.
Well, as Dave Malky jokingly said when we finally got to our hotel room, he's like, because we were like laughing, looking around at this very fine room. I mean, in terms of like, it was fine, it was okay. But Dave goes, what if this is Diamond Select for Best Western? And on that note, I'm going to say hello, everybody, and welcome to Comic Lab, the show about making comics.
And making a Diamond Select living from comics. I'm Brad Geiger, the author of the Webcomics Handbook and the creator of Evil Inc.
And I'm his Diamond Select member friend, Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon and co-director of Stripped.
And this week's hour of comics advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So Dave, tell me about Alaska.
My Brad, I will talk comics, yes, to answer your question, and I will talk about Alaska, because as is evidence from my Best Western Diamond Select status, I've just returned from the Alaska Comics Camp in Juneau, Alaska. One of my favorite things in life. I was actually saying to someone that I genuinely think that at the end of my days, on my deathbed, I will look back on the Alaska Comics Camp days as among the happiest days I had in my adult life. And I'm not overselling it. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. They are literally joy-filled, laughter-filled days for me. And so what I thought I would do for this episode, the front part of this episode, is just take everybody through what the Alaska Comics Camp is, what it does, how much I enjoy it, and how much I would encourage you at some point in your life to make the trek up to Juneau, Alaska, because it is one of my favorite things. So how it got started was my friend Pat Race of Alaska Robotics about a decade ago, in fact, exactly a decade ago, was saying to, I think, Kazu of Amulet fame and Bolt City and all that sort of stuff, wouldn't it be fun to bring in some artists into Juneau, Alaska for a signing, for a little mini-con, for a little event? And so it started that they about a decade ago, and this was long before I joined us. I've only gone 5 times, but it's happened 10 times so far. And what it is they open up to cartoonists from all over the world, and I've said this on past shows. It's mostly Americans, but there's about 10 to 15 Canadians, I think. Mexican cartoonists, Puerto Rican cartoonists. There's been cartoonists from Japan, and it's, I think the number, don't quote me on this, it's either 70 cartoonists came to camp or 80 cartoonists came to camp, something in that ballpark.
Yeah.
And to start it off, what they do is, for the folks that want to fly in early, they do school visits for the kids in Juneau. And which is really kind of special because as anybody who ever grew up in a small town knows, anytime somebody special comes to town, it's kind of a unique cultural event. So I've jokingly said in the past, I think Juneau's one of those towns where if you don't like jazz, but a jazz festival is coming into town, you're going to the jazz festival because you're like, oh, I'm taking in this culture while it's in town.
There's nothing else going on. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So a bunch of cartoonists do school visits for all sorts of levels. They teach a little bit about cartooning. They talk about being a cartoonist and an artist's life. That's fantastic. Then there's a library talk that we do on the last night before camp. That's really fun. It's usually a bunch of funny, ridiculous 5-minute presentations on all sorts of jokey topics, and that's fun. And then we do a gathering party at a local Rob, fantastic guy and huge lover and collector of comics, hosts a huge sort of chili cook-off at his house.
Oh, nice.
With he had great scotch this year, Brad. You would have loved it. I enjoyed the margaritas. There's a funny photo that Dylan McConas took of me with an absolutely gigantic margarita. I didn't intend it to be that big, but I overpoured it. I was trying to wipe off the stink of the Diamond Select status at Best Western is what it was, Brad. So we do the welcoming party, which is great on Rob's part. This year it was curry, not chili, which I was delighted by. Wonderful. I always love a good curry. And we laugh and talk for about 4 hours, and then we all go to bed. And then the next morning, we host a really delightful, very sweet, very pure mini Comics Con held in the state. What is it? I guess it's the State Art Museum and Library. It's one of those museums where clearly a senator was able to get federal funds because this thing is bonkers big and nice for Juneau. It's really pleasant. Like marble floors, kind of nice. That's how nice it is for a Comic-Con.
Yeah, and a real kind of Diamond Select kind of museum. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, Brad. Diamond Select's quality and status. Yes, but it's a beautiful state museum and library. So there's all sorts of holdings, and so you're in a really nice environment for a Comic-Con. And the Comic-Con itself, the mini Comic-Con, lasts about 6 hours and is a delight. I have had people, and did have it this year as well, fly in for this Comic-Con. So they're coming from different parts of Alaska. So they're not like flying in on a 747. They take what's known as the Milk Run, which are smaller planes that kind of puddle jump around Alaska, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I said to someone, I can't believe you came to Juneau just for me. I am not worth it. Like this is not it. And I think they've said this to me before in years past. So I know that this is the true response. They go, well, I also needed to get some stuff at Costco. And so I was like, all right, well, it's nice, Brad, when it puts you in your place when you're like, they flew out for Brad Geiger, but they also needed to get some eggs.
Yeah,
so, there you go.
You're just a step above a grocery run.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's me and paper towels. That's what they needed. Yeah. That's what it was doing. But it is genuinely nice. And so you have people coming in from different parts of Alaska, which are even more remote than Juneau. And that's lovely. And so it's a really nice day. And Pat does a wonderful job of organizing talks again during the Mini-Con. So there's all sorts of artists talking about their process, talking about the books they've made, talking about cartooning in general. It's really pleasant. And so then around 5 p.m., we wrap it up. We say goodbye to the folks in Juneau. We all pile on this one big Muppet bus and we throw our luggage in there and we drive. I've never actually asked, but if I had to guess, it's about a 20-minute drive, but we're going on curvy road. So I'm guessing it's about 15 miles out, maybe 20 miles out. Outside of Juneau. So Juneau already a small remote town that you can't drive to. You got to take a plane or a boat to. And then you go about 15, 20 miles outside of that, so you're even more remote. You are literally out in the woods of Alaska. Yeah. And there's an old city camp / church camp way outside of Juneau that we set up shop in. And then you're there for the next 4 days. Wow. For camping. And it is a damn delight. It's one of my favorite things.
That's amazing. So this entire thing, you're gone for about a week, is that right?
Yeah, I think I was gone. I was gone 6 days total, including transit. Yeah, so 6 days I was gone.
Wow, that's amazing. And so now you get out there and there's 70 cartoonists that you're surrounded with at this point, which is kind of a relief in that, like, if it was a small group, you'd be like, well, what if I don't get along with 1 or 2 of these people? But at 70, there might be some people that you hardly talk to at all when you're there, and you end up kind of gravitating towards people that you maybe have a lot in common with or you feel comfortable with. In other words, it's such a big group, it kind of factors out some of the social awkwardness that might entail.
Yes. So there is there's both a beauty and a sadness at 70 people or 80 people, because you can and do meet all the people, but there always is about 5, 10, 15, like, darn it, we didn't really get a chance to talk. Yeah. And yet, Brad, it's 4 days of some of the deepest, most personal, most heart-to-heart conversations about cartooning, about being an artist, about living a creative life, about running the business around a creative life, around all the work-life balance issues that go with being an artist in terms of taking care of family. Yeah. There's people there that were taking care of kids, taking care of their elder parents, but talking about that. And so the thing that I didn't mention is once at camp, we have no cell signal because you are really remote in Alaska. And something magical happens, Brad, when 80 people no longer have cell connection. And they're creative, and they have this shared common base of being cartoonists or artists or illustrators, where there's nothing else to do electronics wise, you're going to talk to the other 70, 80 cartoonists and start to talk in depth. And so within a couple of days, you form these really deep, wonderful friendships, conversational friendships. And you, as my wife always says, you get to, if you imagine friendships like layers of an onion, you really get to the deep part of the onion quickly because you're like, listen, there's no other electronics and there's no place to be. There's no way you can like see yourself out of the conversation. You got to be like, well, let's get to the meat of it. Who are you? Where are you from? Let's talk about your life. Let's talk about all this sort of stuff. And it's great. Yeah. You don't realize, and this is going to make me sound wishy-washy, Brad, but you don't realize how much of life is surface level, ships passing in the night. You know, you go into a Starbucks, but you're looking at your phone. You go onto the train, but you're looking on your phone. You go into work, but you're checking your emails and you're not really talking to your coworkers. And there's something magical. And because everyone always talks about replicating this camp either in Arizona or Florida or California or in Newfoundland. And I don't know that it would be possible to recapture the magic of this camp because the not having a cell signal or the internet is a super key part of this whole process. It's really... it's magical to step away from having electronics. Yeah,
because just think about it. If you told everybody, if you did it in Florida, right, and you said, oh, by the way, no cell phones. Everybody's going to put their cell phone in a box and it'll be unlocked afterwards. People would erupt, right? But since you literally have to be a situation where there's no other choice but you know, listen, there's literally no cell phone signal. It's the equivalent of put it in a box, but but since there's literally nobody you can complain to, it's the perfect situation for what you're describing.
Yeah, that's the exact right way to say it. There's no one to complain to. There's no bathroom to sneak off to check your emails real quick, because we all know we've done that at a party, you know. So the camp and the lack of electronic fosters this super sweet, genuine, sincere community among cartoonists. And so, and again, as I've already said, you're already in this beautiful, pristine location, like old growth forest, like moss up the trees. You could see a bear if you get lucky. In fact, some hikers did. There's all sorts of animals around you. And so you're disconnecting from technology, which is healing and it's refreshing. And so the camp also encourages all this interaction between artists of all these different levels, because there's cartoonists there that are like 25. There's cartoonists there that are 65, and all the different levels of pro and pro-am in between. And what's great is, in addition to sharing all the duties like sweeping and doing the dishes and all this sort of stuff, the cartoonists also take it upon themselves to teach classes to one another. And this is, I think you would love this, because, like this year I went to a class, about long form storytelling. And I was like, you know what, I'm fairly confident about it, but God, you always got to maintain a willingness to learn. I would love to hear other people's tips and tricks on how to do long form storytelling. So I just grabbed a coffee and sat in the cabin and listened to dear friends talk about how they structure their long form stories. And then there was all sorts of stuff like you would have loved. There was one about NSFW comics and how the specific challenges and considerations and concerns, and also the joys of it.
When you told me that yesterday, it really, I had a huge swelling of respect for Pat and what he's doing up there, because that's not the sort of thing that people tend to get a little bit widgy about that topic, and to hear that they were like, oh no, we had sessions and people were talking about that, that I gotta tell you, that really was jaw-dropping for me. I have a lot of respect for what Alaska Comics Camp is when I heard that.
I mean, listen, I know that I'll never get you up there, but I absolutely think you'd think the world of the classes. The classes are so fun. I mean, over the course of the years that I've been there, I've done ones on brushwork, I've done ones on quill work, we've lettering, short form writing humor, writing characters that matter, keeping the through line of characters through long stories, and then this most recent comic camp, strategies for storytelling. for long form, and things about maintaining and creating story Bibles. I've done classes there at camp. We've had classes where I had one class where we did humor writing with Jillian Gertz and Ryan North and I and Dave Malky. That was really fun. And by the way, Eisner nominated Ryan North. Yes. My pal Ryan North nominated for his writing this week. So anyway, what's great though, Brad, is both experienced and new cartoonists teach classes. And here's what's fun about that is that, like, you might think, well, like, I'm Brad Geiger of a certain age and I don't need to learn from somebody. But the truth is, sometimes you'll have a 25-year-old who's a savant at quill work or at brushwork. And you're like, hot damn, yes, I can learn a ton of stuff from you, even though I've got decades on you, you know? And so, anyway, the key things at camp are, like, you know, friendship and collaboration are huge themes for the camp. The camp fosters this environment where learning and sharing and collaboration and equality is like a big part there. So, like, everybody's under the same roof. We're all the same artists walking the same paths, regardless of age or income level or where you're published or who you're published with. And then the whole camp operates under, they call it comics rules. The old-timey phrase would be Chatham House rules, which is that Victorian era rule where you and I talking about Camp Brad, I can share everything that was said at the camp. The trick is we just don't attribute it. So that way you can maintain anonymity and you have a sense of safety that you're not going to be sold down the river for facts that you've shared about your publisher or about your agents. Oh, by the way, there was also classes about how to deal with your publisher. And I sat in on one just because I was sort of curious about, like, oh, what is that life? By the way, it sounded hell. I didn't love any of it. There was another one on how to hire and fire your agents that I also accidentally sat in on that one because it was in the main lodge and I was sketching.
The hire and fire part is interesting. Like, because that, I mean, it's hard enough to find an agent, but sometimes you've got an agent that's just not a good fit and you've got to move on from that situation.
Yeah. And a lot of cartoonists are admittedly, I mean, introverted is not the right word, but admittedly not fighters. Like, we don't go into this if we're super Machiavellian at business. Yeah. So when the time comes to fire an agent, you a little bit have to put on your lion's mane. And a lot of cartoonists were talking about, like, it's hard. It's hard to be a jerk in that moment because you hired the agent to be the jerk for you. You know what I mean? And now you've got to fire your jerk. So it's like, oh, geez. Anyway. Anyway, as I was saying before, the teaching at the Comics Camp is hugely driven by altruism and community spirit. No one's asking for money. No one's charging anything. People are willingly giving away trade secrets. And again, it's not, I can't tell you what they are because it's under Chatham House rules, but or who they were. But, like, some hugely influential and published authors were saying, like, look, do this, don't do this. And it's the kind of stuff that you and I try to do on Comic Lab. But these are cartoonists that don't have that platform. And so you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth, like, no, your publisher will absolutely try to cheat you on this front, so do it this way. Or, yes, you can expect X amount of dollars if you pitch it this way, so pitch it this way. And that's the kind of insider information that, unless it's under Chatham House rules and a sense of altruism and community spirit, you're not going to get that. Literally no one is going to say that at San Diego Comic-Con panel or a New York Comic-Con panel because they would get their ass chewed out. You know what I mean?
Or somebody would take a video of them and post it on social media and cause all kinds of problems for them. So, this is, I know.
Or they would get sued or they would get separated from their publisher. You can imagine all the repercussions if they said what they said, you know?
Yeah, I know. I don't know whether you did it in this year, but I know in years past, some people actually even shared numbers in terms of, like, they didn't identify themselves, but I think there was like a chart and they were able to put a thumbtack in a general, I don't want to say tax bracket, but they were making X amount of money from comics per year and they would put a thumbtack in different areas. So you could actually see that, number one, there was a wide swath of people there, but also that there were people that were able to generate a stable, sustainable income doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a chart that I think Oh, I can't say who it was, but I can throw myself under the bus. Myself and some other cartoonists made in the years past, and it basically said like, "Hey, how old are you?
Yeah.
How many years have you been trying to work as a cartoonist? And then what's your current income level?"
Yeah.
And so you had these 3 data points. And like you just got done saying, it was this wide variety from $10,000 in income a year to over $250,000, $300,000 a year in income. And people could anonymously go over to the board at different points of the day,
Yes.
mark where they were, and then no one saw who marked what or what they marked. And then we could flip the board around at the end of camp and be like, oh, you're not alone. B,
Right.
this journey is not a smooth and easy one for anyone. There's a wide variety of paths to walk, and that the people that did want to tip their hat said, like, yes, I'm making $250,000 a year now,
Right.
but 2 years ago I was making $20,000 a year. You know, like, so you saw all sorts of honesty, and sometimes like shocking honesty, because they were under Chatham House rules, and because there was this spirit of friendship and community. And so anyway, as I said towards the top of this conversation, the camp experience overall, between sharing and between snoring next to other cartoonists and washing dishes next to other cartoonists, the whole thing though, and you're also hiking and going out and looking at this beautiful ancient forest, the experience allows for really genuine friendships to form quickly. And I have gained, and I'm not trying to oversell this, I have gained lifelong friends from Alaska Comics Camp and lifelong learning. And I know this sounds so like, I make it sound like it's a cult almost, like, oh boy, it's changed my life, Brad. But honest to God, this is one of my favorite things in the entire comics universe. Like, National Cartoonist Society, Reuben Weekend, I love it.
Yes.
San Diego Comic-Con, I love it. Angoulême Museum in France, I love it. Ohio State in Columbus, I love it. This is honestly one of my best, if not my absolute favorite things in comics. And I think it's this fantastic blend of professional development, insider sharing of information, self-taught classes for one another in a way that's almost like Algonquin Roundtable cool, and then this tremendous opportunity for both rest and stepping away from technology and personal growth. And I just think it's the world of it, Brad. It's one of my favorite things going.
Am I going to put you on the spot if I ask you where people can go to sign up? Because do they have the sign up yet, or is there a website that we can send people to if they were curious about it?
Yeah, well, so I should say the timeline. Yes, first of all, yes. The timeline every year is camp usually takes place in April and May. Yeah. Because that's just enough for the snow to usually have melted. But it's also right before the cruise ships start to pull into Juneau in serious numbers. So, the tourism season kind of swamps the town. Yeah. So April, May tends to be when camp is. And I believe, don't hold me to this, but I believe the applications come open usually in December, January. But you can express interest right now if you want to, and you can go to minicon.alaskarobotics.com/comics-camp. But honestly, if you just Google search Alaska Comics Camp, which might be easier, you'll find it's literally a one-line interest form. You basically say Brad Geiger, and then you put your email in, and they will email you when the applications are opened up. Somewhere in late winter, I believe. So don't hold me to that timeline, but I believe that's when it is. And honest to God, I would love to see you there because, Brad, this year, like 5 or 6 Comic Lab listeners came to camp.
Really?
Yes, and I know that because
that's awesome.
When we first do our introductions, we all grab a coffee or a beer and we sit around in one big lodge and we talk about like, hey, what brought you to camp? How did you find out about it? What friend? And it's usually word of mouth. Like a friend told me like, hey, this cartoonist told me that I really had to do comic camp. And so as we're going around the circle, I counted 5, maybe 6, I forget. I lost track of the count. But Comic Lab
So
listeners.
it wasn't the coffee you were drinking, it was the other one.
Listen, gang, listen. We're all human here. No, I think I was having a beer, in fact, because it was nighttime at that point. But so yes.
5 or 6
Lab
people
listeners,
came because they heard us talking about it on Comic
Lab last year, which absolutely warmed my heart. And by the way, just delightful human beings that I cherished my time with them over the weekend and talked comics to no end with them, and it was great.
Yeah.
And in a way that I think will make you proud, they had a wonderful time at camp, and they were so thankful to the podcast and to you. They wished me to pass along all my good wishes to you and their thanks to you for your advice and your tutoring for them and for the broader comics community. So I want you to know I hope your ears were ringing. There was a lot of love for Brad Geiger at Comics Camp.
Well, they were, but I usually just chalk that up to the tinnitus.
Yeah. So anyway, gang, if you're on the fence about it or even thinking about it, just Google Alaska Comics Camp. You'll find a form. It might take you 1 or 2 clicks, but you'll find a one-line interest form where you can put your email in and they will follow up with you. And again, you don't have to do it this year, but at some point in the future, just try to get out to Alaska for Comics Camp. Alaska is one of the most beautiful places you will ever see in your life. It is absolutely stunning. It's unlike any other part of America. It is worlds of... having been to Philadelphia, Brad, I can say this on your behalf. You would be shocked by how beautiful Alaska is.
Oh, I'm sure I would.
Like, I stood at the coastline. I was in a bay, and I stood at a coastline looking across the bay at another series of... I guess they're an extension of the Rockies. I'd have to think about it. Oh, no, they're the... What are the mountains in Alaska? They're the...
I don't know.
I forget. Anyway, travel. It's good for me. But anyway, I'm looking across the bay, and previously in the day, people had seen orcas swimming through the bay, which also, by the way, fantastic. I'm looking across the bay, and there's these giant, ancient, snow-capped mountains, and then behind me is a glacier that is melting down into the bay. Because we're ruining a planet, but the whole GD thing is gorgeous. Oh, and also there's like, you can look around and there's deer bones and full clam shells, and it's like just this magical like nature reserve of like, oh no, there's all sorts of paw prints in the sand as you're standing on the beach. You're like, that's a bear print, that's a deer print, that's a fox print, or whatever. You know, it's like, it's crazy how much nature. And you get a sense of like, oh, Alaska is also a gigantic state. Like, I love you Texans. You have nothing on Alaska. You have nothing on Alaska about how like. And so, and the joke among Alaskans is we're already bigger than Texas, but when the tide goes out, we're even bigger. I mean, like that's how big Alaska is.
I do got to admit, there's something that is very appealing to me about living in Alaska. Just that mental image that conjures up. I got a feeling that would be an amazing place to live.
Well, you know what? I didn't plan on talking about Alaskans in general, but I have come to learn over my 5 trips to Alaska that they are also a wonderful, different cut of what it means to be an American.
Yeah,
like there's a very libertarian, but also independent, and yet community-minded, because they know, like in a harsh winter, they've got to lean on each other.
Yes.
Or when the supply ships don't come in, they've got to rely on one another's fishing to help feed the community, or this or that, or hunting, because you didn't get any boats coming in for Costco, so you've got to rely on one another. Or like last winter, everybody's roofs collapsed because they got so dang much snow, they had to help one another. So you get this libertarian independent streak, but also community-minded streak. Yeah. And that manifested at camp this year because, so this camp is far enough outside of Juneau and far enough off the grid where it survives off of well water, because, you know, you have this beautifully natural, pristine rain falling into Alaska. And then if you let it filter down through the rock and you establish a well 50 or 60 feet down, you get this fantastic water, right?
Yeah.
It's really good. Well, this year, a day before camp, the 40, maybe 50-year-old, quick math, 45-year-old well pump broke.
Oh, no.
And the dipshits in the 80s that installed it kind of wedged it in a way. It's supposed to be a quick release pump system. And I don't know if they wedged it in with cement or whether they hard torched it in. So they couldn't get the pump out to replace it. So we had to live off of portable potable water because we didn't have the well. And so this is the Alaska spirit. And huge kudos to Pat for MacGyvering this. He goes to the distillery in town and says, listen, I need to borrow a couple of distillery jugs. So he got like 500-gallon, 600-gallon jugs of water.
Oh, my God.
Emptied out the gin from it, right? Because it's the distillery. Borrowed a flatbed, a dually from an electrician in town because he needed something that could hold, because a gallon of water is 8 pounds, so a 500, it would have been like 3,000, 4,000 pounds of water.
Yeah.
So he got this huge industrial dually from an electrician in town.
Holy cat.
Right? This is what I mean about community mindedness. Goes to the fire department to fill it up with potable water. They agree, and they give him a key to the local fire department because it's Alaska and they all like each other and they're all community minded.
Oh, my God.
So think about this.
Yeah.
He went to a distillery.
Yeah.
He went to an electrician. He went to a fire department. They're all like, oh, yeah, Pat.
Everybody
we grew
said
up with
yes.
you.
Yeah.
Everybody said yes. They all chipped in. He got potable water. And then because plumbing works on a pressure system, what Pat did is instead of cutting into the pipes, he hooked it up to the external garden hose hookup.
Yeah.
So that because once the valve is open, you can just maintain water pressure and then build up positive pressure on the whole system, even though that's normally an outflow, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, holy shit, MacGyver, I never would have thought to do that. I would have absolutely cut into the pipes.
So he had water coming into the building through the garden hose that would normally carry water out of the building?
Yes. And I was like, I know that's so
amazing.
simple. I know it's a simple thing of like thinking about how water pressure works, but I would not have, I absolutely would have spent an hour disconnecting or cutting into old pipes trying to hook up to this. And Pat's like, no, water pressure, you just need to maintain it from any source. So why not do it from the external outflow of a garden hose? And I was like, hot damn, you're brilliant.
It would have just been, for me, it would have just been dippers and buckets.
Yes.
You just figure it out. Here's a dipper. Here's a bucket.
It would have been, for me, it would have been like, here's a sponge on a stick. Go to town, everybody. Here's your shower. So I'm hugely thankful and impressed by my friend Pat, who MacGyvered the hell out of this. And so they did eventually fix the pump 3 days into camp. But in the meantime, we had water. And I was so impressed by like the community mindedness and Pat's MacGyver abilities to make it work. I was just, the whole thing was it's always magical. Every time I go up, it's magical. It's one of my favorite things to do in life, and I cannot recommend it enough. So Google Alaska Robotics Comics Camp. Alaska Robotics, Pat owns the comic shop in town, and it's called Alaska Robotics. That's what the name is from. It's a little bit of a misdirect, but there's no robotics involved. But just Google Alaska Comics Camp. You'll find the site. Put your email down, decide next year, but just express interest in it. And honest to God, gang, one of my favorite things to do. And it's honestly, it's my goal in life to get all of our pals, Brad, up there at some point or another. I would love to get everybody we know up there at some point to try it at least once in their life.
It sounds like so much fun. And we will definitely have that in the show notes for you as well, Alaska Comics Camp.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, Brad, I'm super excited to tell folks that today's episode is brought to you by the good folks over at Huion and their new fantastic Canvas 22 third generation that Brad and I both have and absolutely love. It is a beautiful machine to draw on. I cannot say enough nice things about it. It's like having drawn on the flagship of all the brands and having drawn on the top of the top. One of the things that I love about this one is that it's got all the sort of flagshipy features, but at a price, like an entry level price. It's like, it's not going to break the bank. It is the pricing, as we have said on past shows, is fantastic. It's one of my favorite parts about Huion. They really nail it when it comes to pricing.
Well, that's what really made me a believer in the first place, is when I was looking for a replacement for my home studio. I started looking around, and Huion had the kind of equipment and the kind of features that I really wanted, but more importantly, it had the price that I really needed.
Yeah.
and I got that, and so I thought, oh, you know what? I'm gonna see how this works out. And I'm telling you, I've been using that thing for years now, and it has not let me down yet. An amazing writing experience. It's got that anti-glare glass, plus it's got the a special kind of glass that makes it feel like you're drawing on paper,
yeah, it's
which
gorgeous.
is really important to have that tactile experience. A super sensitive pen. They call it PenTech 4 technology, and a 90 hertz refresh rate, so you're not going to have that flicker wearing you down and fatiguing you during those long drawing sessions.
And I want to circle back on something that you had mentioned, because you had talked about at the beginning here how you bought it with your own money, that canvas. And that can't be said enough, that Brad and I take on sponsors only when we believe in it and believe that it could be useful to you as a Comic Club listener. Brad spent his own money long before the sponsorship buying a canvas. Absolutely loved the Huion. And then when we became pals with them, this is a no-brainer, because we're already using it, already loving it, already have it in our own studios. And so it's sort of the imprimatur of, oh boy, did these two believe in it. And I will tell you this, because you brought up the pen thing. The angle of attack and the softness with which you can use this pen. We have all had it where strokes are not picked up. Strokes you have to have them perfectly angled. The specific way that your hand interacts with a pen or a pencil in traditional media is not picked up by a digital pen. That is absolutely not the case with this one. This pen has bonkers, 16,000 plus levels of pressure sensitivity. And you can get down to a 60-degree tilt and still have it recognized in a way that that has a real world application, in that there are a lot of Photoshop brushes, Brad, where if you're doing airbrush or if you're doing a fading line, you need that ability to have the softest touch and to have that 60-degree tilt recognition for it to still work. And it is bonkers how good that is.
Well, and the other thing that really impressed me was the one that I was using a pen display at home, and it was a little bit bigger than an iPod or an iPad, rather. You know, it was about that size. And it was good for what it needed to be at the time. But man, oh man, did I ever really appreciate moving up to that 21.5-inch screen that I could really not only lay out all my palettes on and all of the tools that I use in Clip Studio, or if I'm in Photoshop, but then I've got a whole big drawing surface. I can't tell you how much that improved my art, just in my ability to swing my arm and to get really, really fluid lines. You can't do that, or at least I can't do that on a smaller screen. I needed to upgrade, and my art took a big level up when I did.
Well, there's a lot of movements where when you're drawing and you need to do, say, the swing of a punch or the swoop of a jet or something.
Yeah.
And you need to use your major muscle groups. And sometimes that 22 inches, boy, does that come in handy for that kind of a drawing line. Because like you said, you can't do it on a smaller screen. It doesn't work. It doesn't come out good. And so the Huion, the 22, I've had and loved, by the way, the 13-inch for my travel Huion, which, I could say enough nice things about that one as well. But the 22 in my studio, I have found to be the perfect size. It's basically Goldilocks, not too big, not too little, and it's just right for what I need in terms of both maneuverability, in terms of tilting, sizing, but then also in actually getting the line that I need executed on the screen. It is fantastic.
Absolutely. So I'm going to have the link in the show notes, but you can go to comiclabshop.com. It's going to redirect you right to where you want to go, where you're going to get an exclusive extra 5% off of this amazing Canvas 22. And all you got to use is that super secret promo keyword, ComicLab5.
Comic Lab 5 is your super secret keyword. That's right. And you want to head over to comiclabshop.com and get that 5% off. And a huge shout out, again, as people that spent their own money buying a Huion, we are super happy to have them as sponsors because we believe in the product. So thank you, Huion, and we'll see you, gang, over at comiclabshop.com.
Although I do have to tell you, Dave, I am increasingly uncomfortable with you leaving town after this past week.
Because me leaving town?
You left Los Angeles. You left and were unreachable because of cell phone signal. And when I tell you that everything fell apart here in Philadelphia and beyond, I had the worst week ever, and there's some stories. No. There's some stories,
and I wasn't there for my friend,
and you weren't there for me to call and say, "Oh my God," and to complain to and to grouse to. Some of the stuff I can't tell you on the air, but the one I can tell you about is our first update at the mid-show. Kickstarter released some new guidelines for NSFW content creators. And somebody took a screen grab of it out of context and put that in a social media post. Kickstarter has banned pornography, and it was 100% wrong. And
oh boy, wait, what?
That was the headline, and this went viral.
I leave for 1 week, and this happens, Brad?
Oh my God! And so I immediately go and look at the PDF, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, they have not done anything of the sort. In fact, what they did was something that people like me have been asking for years. They clarified their guidelines. Basically, they published they said
they put into writing what they've quietly always been doing. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. In other words, setting up like for an After Dark, I always wonder how much I can include in an image before I've gone too far.
Yeah, in fact, you've always said in the past, like, I always try to, I wish I knew what the line was so I could dance right up to it without crossing it. Because some people in the past have crossed the line and got not banned, but like the thing was taken down.
They got flagged or anything.
They got flagged,
and then you see some people go, where beyond where you think the line is. Some people come up to the line and not over, and there's no consistency. So what Kickstarter finally did with this PDF is they said, hey, basically, here's the line. And they spelled it out as much as they could without making the whole thing useless. Because what they said was, hey, here's the problem. Our payment processor is Stripe, and they have really strict guidelines on this. They won't do anything. And they've caused a lot of our clients a lot of problems in the past. So here's basically what the title should have been, but it couldn't have been, is here's how to fly under the radar and not get flagged by Stripe.
Yeah, the thing should have said, like, listen, our credit card processor, like every credit card processor, is worried about their own asses. So here's how to fly under the radar.
And people took that and misunderstood it. And the message of this Kickstarter ban went viral. I spent the rest of the week trying to say in different ways, no, this isn't happening. But of course, that message doesn't go viral, right?
So let me ask you, because I was not online for a week, obviously. I'm just getting back into town yesterday. I'm assuming, knowing the internet, everyone reacted calmly and no one ran around as though the sky was falling, right? Because that's the internet. Everyone reacts calmly.
That's the part I needed to call you and yell and scream about, because I would see people who are normally very rational people making these outrageous claims. And it's like, no, please. So I went out, did a piece for Webcomics Handbook, and every time I put it out, I also, because Webcomics Handbook is a subscription, put it with a free trial download. So I don't want your money. Use the free trial. Just get this information, and there, you can stop panicking. And the part I wanted to bring up today was I also did a special pro tips. It published a week early. I published the Thursday before the Tuesday it usually would go out. It's an hour long.
You did a podcast without me?
I had to.
Brad!
Listen.
Is nothing sacred, Brad?
You would have blushed through the entire thing.
I leave town for 1 week, and Brad's immediately seeing other podcasts.
I went solo. I was like, okay. I just looked into the screen and said, okay, we got to talk. let's start from the beginning. And I literally tried to lay out all of the pieces of the different gears that were in turning and describe what was happening. Went through the guide, talked about strategies for NSFW creators moving forward, talked about how we should be. I also said in this pro tips, even after all this, there will be somebody whose content is taken down. This will happen. And then everybody, I'm just going to tell you right here on the public show, everybody's going to yell and scream and panic again. And they'll say, there it is. There's proof. They do have a ban on porn. And I said in the pro tips, listen, there are so many moving parts. This could happen for any number of reasons. Before we panic, next time, we've got to take a look at what's actually happening so we can learn from it, so that we can all do better in terms of our own businesses. Somebody will get taken down, and the panic reaction will absolutely be that this is proof positive of a ban on adult content. And I just want to get out in front of it and say, we've got to be very careful before we act that way, because there's so many different reasons that somebody could get flagged.
Well, let me ask you, not having listened to the hour episode yet, which I will, without even listening to it, I will recommend, knowing Brad's research and calm, intelligent demeanor, that you should listen to it. Can I ask you, is the top line description basically this? Your project is fine. It's just the way you describe the project on the Kickstarter platform that has to be careful. Is that right?
110%. Basically what they said was, for example, they said, listen, you can't have any nudity in your campaign page. And people interpreted that as saying you can't have any nudity in your book,
in your campaign, or in the project itself,
or in your video game, or in your
or your theater production,
novel,
or exactly.
And it wasn't nudity specifically, but it was like, you can't have this situation, you can't have that situation. Right. And what they were saying is, on your campaign page, on your project page, you can't have these images, you can't use these words. There was a big deal that you couldn't use the word MILF and you couldn't use the word DILF. And
I can't be described?
No. Well, Dave, you know I'm the man that put the DILF in Philadelphia. But
God, you had that joke ready. Oh. You had that lock, stock, and barrel ready, because you said that far too quick when I said
I've had that note on my screen for 3 years.
Oh my God, gang, he literally held up a
Look at how yellowed that paper is. I've got so many people are envious of Dave Kellett. They say he's the one that put the jealous in Los Angeles, but I'm the guy that put the DILF in Philadelphia.
Oh my God! You had the joke
Los
ready.
Angeles.
I have never loved you more. That you had a joke ready on a Post-it note by your computer.
I just realized I could get DILF into the conversation. This has been on my computer for literally years.
You've been waiting years for me to use or comment about the phrase DILF so that you could use that GD joke.
Yes.
Gang, this is professionalism and commitment to the bit. Brad goes to sleep every weekend going, I didn't get to use the Post-it note this week, but maybe next week, dear Lord.
Somebody call me a DILF, please, just one time. I can use that line.
And gang, listen, it should not go unsaid that for years, no one called Brad a DILF.
No, that should go unsaid. Please let that go unsaid.
All he needed, gang, for this joke to work was for someone to call him
one person. I just needed DILF to come up in a conversation with me nearby one time.
Brad walks a DILFless life. Oh, that's amazing. All you needed was for that person joke was for somebody to reference you as a DILF. Oh, and we're now on year 9 of the podcast.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, it was either DILF or somebody being jealous of you, because the first part was put the jealous in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Which I also think is fucking brilliant.
That's also, actually, you know what? That is fun.
But
wordplay.
Nobody's been jealous of you, and nobody's called me a DILF. And here this thing has sit this entire time.
Brad, because we have 2 faces for radio. That's why.
Oh my God. You ain't a kid.
Oh my God.
Well, and we've got weird voices, and we should probably talk about that too.
Talk about our weird voices that cause us to not be labeled. Can I just tell you how much I love you? That you get called a DILF for 9 years? But anyway, speaking of our voices, though, we did get a comment coming in over at patreon.com/comiclab, and they said, hello to Dave and my favorite DILF, Brad Geiger. Oh, she was off by 30 seconds.
My God. Just missed it by that much.
We just missed it. So anyway, Lorena here. I was listening to a bunch of Comic Lab episodes, and you guys asked about what your accents sound like. Well, it sounds like a DILF to me is what it sounds like. Anyway, thought I'd pop in. I'm Colombian Canadian. My first language is Spanish. And number one, in general, Americans sound like they love Hubba Bubba. Like they're talking to you, but also chewing gum. And boy, oh boy, is the gum delicious.
Oh my God.
I think that English has many complex vowel sounds and Spanish has fewer open vowel sounds. So your tongue is just chilling in your mouth. English tongue is scrunched up there, all stressed.
That's the best description I've ever heard.
Having married into a Cuban family, and when they get excited or when they've had a few things of rum and they start going fast, I kind of feel the same way, but in the opposite direction. I'm like, everybody slow down. Everybody, let's be kind to the Spanish language. Dave's doing his best. So anyway, number two from Lorena, she says, it's hard to parse how each of you compares to an average voice in your respective accents, but you sound very bright and sunny. And I'm a big fan of when you laugh by going, ha ha! Not multiple ha-has, but just one deluxe long one. I think that's great. Brad sounds like he's plotting a complex prank all the time. That's fantastic. Thanks for all your work. Big fan of Stripped. Oh, great. How to make webcomics, the Webcomics Handbook, and the podcast. One of these days, I'll start listening to the good advice. No comics to promote right now, but I'm kickstarting a mazine. It's called You're a Wizard Stuck in a Can of Beans.
Oh, my God.
Cheering for both of you. Thanks again. Well, thank you for that fantastic comment. Yes. Especially all the kind words directed towards everyone's favorite DILF, Brad Geiger. Almost a gilf. Almost a gilf. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
You dare. You know, I will take the mantle of DILF because I'm still speaking of things that went wrong this week. I also got snubbed by the Eisners again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we both did, my friend. We both
got passed over for Eisner Awards. But as you noted earlier, our friend Ryan North got a well-deserved recognition. Also, somebody that's been on the show, Glenn Fleischman, who did a book that we are both featured in called How Comics Were Made, got a very well-deserved nomination.
And another friend of the show who's appeared on the show in the past, Tony Cliff, 2 nominations for Tony's work, super well-deserved. No, literally nobody works harder or makes more beautiful artwork than Tony. It's just absolutely gorgeous books. So yeah, huge congratulations to 3 friends of the show for their Eisner nominations, and a huge congratulations to Dave and Brad for absolute bupkis in the Eisners this year.
No kidding. Well, also Steve Lieber, who is a wonderful person.
Steve, who by the way is also just a great teacher, frankly, for lack of a better phrase, and leader in the comics community, especially with Helioscope. Just great work up from Portland from Steve. And so, yeah, absolutely great. And so, yeah, as much as I was like, oh, darn, when the Eisners came out, to see a lot of great, incredibly talented friends get nominated was an absolute delight.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, just if we left your name off, it's because we probably didn't get that far down the list before we both did that, Command F and put our last names in and realized that we had gotten snubbed again. And so if we didn't read your names, it's just because, actually, it's because maybe we didn't do this next part right. And that is, we'll take this question to wrap up the show. We got a question coming in from patreon.com/comiclab that said, basically, how did you guys get nominated? And clearly they're not talking about the Eisner Awards, but this person said, you're both up for awards this year for last year's work. Dave, with the Hugo nomination, I got a very kind nomination for the Silver Rubin. Is there anything you can point to you did last year that made your comics stand out more for awards this year than in previous years? We're always changing and growing, and I'm curious if you think there was anything specific that you changed that got you a nomination.
Oh, what an interesting way to phrase this question. Because I was going to answer it, and in reading it again through your voice, I'm realizing that I had incorrectly assumed that they were talking about how to actually get your name thrown into the hat.
Yeah.
And what they're really asking is, how did you impact your work in the previous year to get your name thrown into the hat?
Yeah.
So first, let me answer the question that I thought you were asking, and then I'll answer the question that you're asking.
Let's answer the question that we wish that this person would have asked.
Yeah. Standard politician debate strategy. I'm going to answer the question that I wanted you to ask. No, so to do the first part of the answer is to say that you have to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
It's one of the dirty little secrets in any aspect of a creative life is that you have to be your own best advocate. Mm-hmm. So you have to throw your own name into the hat. No one's going to do it. No one's going to run up and go, Brad Geiger, I nominated you for an Eisner, and here you go.
Yeah.
You have to put your own work in. You have to submit all the details, all the data, all some images, and all that sort of stuff for the Hugo, for the Reuben, for the Eisners, for the what are the other ones? For the
Ringos. Don't forget my favorite one, the Ringos.
Yep. So all sorts of different awards. And the same, by the way, is true for Emmys and Oscars and all sorts of stuff. They or their teams have to submit them for the awards.
And the one that we don't talk about that much, that one of these days we should talk about more is the Ignatz Awards.
Yeah, you know what? I for whatever reason, I've just made peace with the fact that I'm never going to be nominated for an Ignatz.
I was talking to my wife. I said, it's small press. We really should be.
We should be the kings of small press, but here's the sad truth, and I'm just going to say the words out loud. We are too successful for a small press award, and I think that chaps some people's asses, and that's okay. I'm at peace with the fact, like, the Ignatz has a very specific slice of a career path. And there's a window of like 5 years where you qualify for Ignatz in other people's minds.
Yeah.
And once you've been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years, you no longer qualify, even though you're still self-publishing, because
I haven't thought about it in that way.
Listen, I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's the truth. I think
if they'd like to prove you wrong, they know how to do it. Give you an award.
But the truth is, I also haven't advocated for myself with the Ignatz because I sort of self-edited. I'm like, they're not going to, no one wants to vote for Dave Keller for the Ignatz. Because there's also a very specific type of comics that gets nominated for the Ignatz.
Now that I agree with you.
I don't need to describe what it is, but you could figure it out. Yeah. It's a very specific type of comic. And so I'm just not in that wheelhouse. So, because having grown out of a newspaper tradition and now doing anatomy comics and sci-fi and gag-a-day, it's just not what the Ignatz likes to, it's fine. I don't need it. But I will say this, going back to my original point, you have to advocate for yourself because you are the maker of your own magic in your career. Mm-hmm. You have to get it going. You have to be the instigator. You have to do the follow-up. You have to do the forms right. You have to read carefully the submission guidelines. A lot of people don't. You have to prepare the images correctly. A lot of people don't. You have to do all the forms correctly. A lot of people don't. And you have to submit it on time. And honest to God, that single first act removes like 50% of people.
You and I have both juried awards in general.
Yes,
we won't say any specific awards, but we both juried awards. And we can tell you from firsthand knowledge that very often it's very clear that people didn't read the instructions, couldn't follow the instructions, don't have the reading comprehension to follow instruction. And although the work may have been good or even passable, did not go as far as I think maybe in certain cases it could have gone because they just didn't follow the instructions.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that old joke about, the average person is pretty stupid, which means half the population is even dumber than stupid, Yeah. George Carlin had a joke about that. Yeah. Like the average person is pretty stupid, so it means half the population is even stupider than that. And that's true when you're looking at award submissions. You're like, how did you not read the instructions? How are you making your way through life is basically always my reaction. I'm like, how are you not being pulled over by the cops all the time for traffic violations because you're a moron and can't read signs?
That's been the theme of this week.
I know. Oh gosh, my friend, I'm so sorry I left town. Oh, Brad.
You need to stay for the next couple of months till things even out. But
Brad's in a real bucket of syrup over here, I can tell. But anyway, so to get back to the question asker's question. So separate from the fact that you have to advocate from yourself, they were asking what specifically in the work itself did you do, Brad, in 2025 that sort of elevated the game or made a difference? Or is it, as I suspect, the result of 25 years of attempted continuous improvement?
Listen, the answer to the question that was asked, what did you do different, is absolutely nothing. Other than my focus, which has been for years, I always say, we always say on the show, make a good comic. And then whenever we say that, we go on further to say what we mean by that and so forth. And what that means and what it doesn't mean. Right. For me, my work started getting better when make a good comic became my mantra, right? And particularly, and I've talked about this on the show, focusing on my writing, improving my writing, and improving my lettering and my comic skills in general, my character design, all of that stuff. And I've been slowly, steadily trying to improve that year after year. But in terms of general, just trying to get better at stuff, what did I do differently this year when I got a nomination over last year when I didn't get a nomination? And then what made that different than the year before when I did get a nomination? Nothing at all. Here's the real truth behind that is that these awards are not objective awards. All of these awards are chosen by juries or by fan votes, or no matter how you slice it, there's an element of subjectivity into it. In my mind, and if you've been listening to this show long enough, then you're not going to be surprised when I say the next part. In my mind, I deserve awards every year. I deserve all the awards, right? In my mind, right?
Exactly.
And nobody wants to know what's happening between these years, but in my mind, I've always deserved awards.
Keep in mind, gang, Brad not only thinks he deserves all the award, he genuinely thinks the phrase DILF should be applied to him for 9 years
both
now.
Of those things.
Gang, he's had a Post-it note on his computer for 9 years now, waiting for a joke to happen because he wanted that happen. The sobriquet.
So
that
tells you everything you need to know about my grasp on reality. But the fact of the matter is that there was no difference really between the quality of Evil Inc. this year and the quality of Evil Inc. last year. It's just that the people who were jurying it last year were like, there might have also, let's think about it this way, there might have just been stronger competition last year, or the people, or the jurors saw more. I might have been out of the top 5. I might have been number 6 that year. And this year it was different. There's all kinds of ways to look at it, but as far as like, what did I do to get nominated? If I honestly could answer that question, I would get nominated every year for all the awards. I would do that thing because I am just that much of an egomaniac.
Yes.
I'm just being honest. Yeah. But well, to an extent, you could say that, although again, I think, I mean, that's you. As I was saying that, the Twilight Zone episode came right out in my head, because let's say you did do that. You found out the magical, here's how you get nominated all the time. By the time Rod Serling comes out in the end, you'd be destitute, because sometimes those kinds of decisions aren't the best decisions for your business, and especially for a self-publisher, for a self-publishing business. And we know of lots of instances where the person wins lots of awards, but they're not doing that great bankrupt. In terms of,
they're bankrupt. You can say it, Brad. They're bankrupt.
Or building financial stability, but bankrupt is a great word. So we know a lot of people that do that, and we know a lot of people that may never get nominated for awards who are doing just fine and building financial stability and have a lot of joy in their life, and they know they're not going to get it nominated, or maybe they've made peace, but they get to go into their studio and be a cartoonist every day.
Yeah. And here's the truth, and you can believe me or choose not to believe me when I say this. Would I love awards? You bet your bippy I would love an award. I would love a Hugo. I would love an Eisner. I would love a Reuben. I would love one of each every year. I would love them, right? But, and this is where you can choose to believe me or not believe me, would I rather have a functioning financial career year in and year out or awards? I will take it 6 days a week and twice on Sundays. I would rather have a financially rewarding a career that means I get to keep being a cartoonist than awards all the time, the time. I know so many people, Brad knows so many people that have won multiple Eisners, but cannot be a cartoonist because financial reasons mean they can't keep cartooning. They had to go get a day job because it just didn't work out for them. I would far rather have a career that has financial success than has critical success. But don't get me wrong. I am a small human being, just like everybody else. Yes. I would love to have the back patting of an award. I would love an Eisner this year. This is why I was genuinely sad when I scanned that list.
Dude, and my name was on the phone. We were both on the phone talking about Alaska when they released the Eisners. We both did the same thing. We went right to the website and did a Command F, and then typed in our own last name. And when neither of us found it, we're like, well, let's talk shit about all these people on the screen. We did. Can you believe this guy?
This son of a bitch. Anyway, but yeah.
No, I'll tell you just how egomaniac I am. You know how they call somebody who's won an Oscar and a Grammy and so forth, that's called an EGOT? Yes, I've been trying to figure out, you've got Eisners, Ignats, Reubens, Ringos, and Hugo. We got to figure out what the anagram for that is. Or the
only one I can think of is heir, as in the heir to the throne, Heirr.
Oh, Heirr, heir with 2 R's.
Yeah, heir with 2 R's.
Well, you put that together fast. I've been sitting over here the whole time you were talking. I was trying to come up with that.
Brad, there's a reason one of us is called a DILF and the other one has a Post-it note on their computer. I mean, listen. I'm just gonna forever now start referring to your Post-it note. Listen, is it a Post-it note weekend, Brad? I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, champ. We can't all have no Post-it notes on our computer. I'm sorry, champ. No, but here's the thing, though. But I want to reinforce this.
Yeah.
Awards mean nothing. They change your career virtually not at all. Right. It's the audience that maintains the career and the financial success of the career. But having said that, I would flipping love I'm not immune to the smallness that is an award. I would flipping love an Eisner. I'd love a Hugo this year. Oh. And if you're voting, you can do it. You can make that happen. I would love a Reuben. I would love it. Honestly, I would love them every year because, like Brad said, I just want to reinforce something Brad said. Yes, in a Narnia-type fashion, my career, I like to think of as onward and upward, that I've gotten better every year. I do think that's true. But you tell me, how is it possible that Dave Kellett now is not eligible or was not nominated for an Eisner in the last 6 or 7 years? But 6 or 7 years ago, when I was demonstrably not as good a cartoonist, I got 3 Eisner nominations in like 4 years. So what was I doing right 7 or 8 or 9 years ago that I'm not doing now? I would posit nothing. I'm doing stuff so much better now. I'm producing the best work I've ever produced. So it just reinforces that it's a subjective call, and it's subjective against all the other artwork in the field that year, which is also subjective. Yes. So I've come to peace with the fact that, like, listen, it's an imperfect system. There's going to be decades where I'm not noticed or nominated. It is what it is. I would rather have a functioning career. I know that sounds like me sitting in the corner in a party going, I never wanted to be pretty. I don't care. I'm happy to not be called the DILF. You know what I mean? This is what I wanted. I chose this. I know that's what it sounds like, but the honest to God thing is it's true. I would rather have a functioning career than have awards.
Yes. No, I agree. And both of those things can be true. You can focus on building financial stability and doing all of that stuff that comes with self-publishing.
Yes.
And
yes.
grind your teeth when you see that you're not on the list of Eisner nominations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And by God, we'd be lying to you if we sat here and we told you any different. Yeah. And you, at this point, if you've been listening for long enough, you'd know that we were lying to you, right? It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah, and that's coming from a guy who it took 9 years to be called the DILF. So there you go.
And probably he's going to have to wait another 9 before he hears it again.
Another 9 years before another nomination in a DILF.
Oh my
there
God!
You go.
Oh my God! I'm going to have to I was so proud of myself for that. Well, listen, we're not going to get any better than that, so I'm just going to say you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
Your hosts have been my friend Brad Geiger, who no longer has a Post-it note on his computer. He's the editor of webcomics.com and the creator of Evil Inc. at evilcomic.com.
And my friend, best friend of a DILF, Dave Kellett, co-director of the comics documentary Stripped, and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com and Drive at drivecomic.com.
Wait, I need to clarify. Best friend of a DILF, does that mean that I am the best friend of you who is a DILF?
I am a DILF and you're a best friend of a DILF. It's like you're a DILF runner-up.
God bless America. I love that the parting shot was all right. Anyway. The Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net, and this episode and all episodes was edited by the ever-wonderful, ever-whimsical Matt Woodard of Woodsong Productions over at www.woodsong.media.
If you love Comic Lab, and we know that you do, you can rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, and you may hear your review featured on a future episode. And don't forget to give us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-star review on Spotify, where we are burning up the podcast charts.
And just a reminder, you will want to listen to the Pro Tips episode that Brad has recorded, the long extended Pro Tips about the Kickstarter update and what that means for your career. You will also want to go to the show notes to look up at the Alaska Comic Camp's link to express your interest, or you can Google Alaska Comic Camp. And then I will say, share your thoughts on today's episodes over at the Comic Lab Confab line at 1-609-379-3520, and we may play your message on a future episode.
That's 1609 Dry Elbow, DRYELB 0. Make plans to see Comic Lab live at the National Cartoonist Society Conference and Reuben Awards, August 6th through the 8th in Columbus, Ohio. Go to nationalcartoonists.com.
And Comic Lab is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. So we'll go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/ I bet he brings the Post-it note with him home to show his wife. How was work today, honey? Work was great. Ask me why. Ask me why work was great today. Please, God, ask me why today was great. Why was today great? Well, you're looking at, I don't want to be a braggart, but you're looking at a DILF. You're looking at a DILF. She's like, I've been married to you for decades, and I most definitely am not looking at a DILF.
Yes, I know exactly what I'm looking at. Adult.